Okay, let's start. Good morning, everyone. And how are you all? Okay, see, let's address one issue. Like Deepak is not able to log into the AWS console. When you sign up, Deepak, AWS will assign an account ID that you need to remember, and that has to be kept confidential. So, can you just check in your welcome email if you have got the account ID? You need to have that to be able to log in. Deepak, can you confirm if you have got the account ID? If not, can you try this? Can you try this https://signin.aws.console.amazon.com/console. But even when you do this, it will ask you for the account ID. Okay, great, Sarvesh. Sarvesh is able to log in and create Red Hat, Ubuntu, and Windows instances. And could you also log into SSH into your instance, Sarvesh? Great. Okay, so how many of you could create the instance and SSH into it? Yes, and Megha, are you able to log in? Yes, opened inbound port 22. Sarvesh. Megha, after I give IP and port, you are getting error. Okay, you need to Gokul, you are a new train. You joined today. Is that what you're saying? Okay, so you will need to watch the other two videos. You have access to LMS that website where you can download the previous two videos and you can go through it. So let's get on with today's session. But Deepak's account ID, Deepak, you need to find out from your welcome email. And Bishwas, you have any question? Any other question? Okay, great. Deepak got the account ID, and Aniruddha, how to create AWS account. Aniruddha, you joined today? Okay, so you will need to watch the other two videos. So okay, so no more questions. So see, since you have unlimited access to previous videos, I suggest it is best that you watch the videos, those who have joined today, so that you can be in line with the rest of the students. So let's proceed with today's session. That will also be recorded and you can watch. And Bishwas, your hand is raised. Vishwajyoti, you have any questions? Sorry. Yeah, you can type in your question. Okay, Vishwajyoti is able to log in. And did you create the instance, Ubuntu instance, and you could SSH into it? Okay, Vishwas, it keeps saying your payment is incomplete. Yeah, you need to add a valid credit card and verify, complete the verification process. Yes, of course. You will need to create a valid payment account to be able to create instances, because these type of cloud services, they have to be 100% ensure that these each account holder is genuine. So in your billing, what does it say, Vishwas? You have to, there has to be pending verification, and you have to complete the process. Sandeep is saying my account is verified, not sure how to log in to newly created. Okay, so I have typed the URL to be used. You will see that URL in the video, so you can try that. That is signin.aws.amazon.com/console. That you enter and it will ask you for the ID. Okay, so, Shubhrot is also first class. So you need to watch the previous two videos, okay? And Mohit is saying, I'm unable to create instance and create Ubuntu, but I created AWS account. Okay, so Mohit, what is your problem that you faced? Shubhrot is able to create the instance. Okay, see now, let me tell you again. When you state your problem, we can save time if you state technically. Instead of saying, I am unable to log in, you can mention that I am unable to log in. It gives this error. Or when I do this, I'm not able to SSH into it, etc. So that we can save time. Okay, Kamli is saying, I have created Ubuntu instance, how to connect to that instance from Bash. Yes. So, Kamlesh, can you tell me what operating system you are using? Okay, so you need to, Kamlesh is using Windows, so you need to install Putty, Putty, or Git Bash. One of them you can use to come to the Windows, use the Windows SSH client to access. Yes, you have installed Putty, and then you need to give it access to your downloaded PEM file. Have you downloaded the PEM file? Okay, so then you need to tell me what happens when you try to connect. Yes, you will need to service, that is correct. Keygen requires to convert the keys into its own format. Yes, Sanisha, no issues. You need to watch the previous videos. Okay, complete saying I didn't connect. I don't know how to connect using Putty. Okay, so that you need to, though that is not a part of the course, what you do is use Google to see how to use Putty to connect. And if you still cannot connect, tomorrow I will address. Yes, Sarvesh has posted a link on how to use Putty, which I will paste to everyone. Let me see if I can paste. Thanks, Sarvesh. So that is the link on how to use Putty. Ijagani is saying, hi, I'm new to this. Mine is first class. What time class started? Class started at 8 o'clock. So if you missed anything, but actually today you didn't miss anything, we are only starting. But you need to watch the previous two videos. That is a must. And you can watch this video as well. Subroji saying AWS EC2 describe in the program was AWS currently not. Yes, Subroji, I have told you AWS CLI I will be demonstrating, but I don't want you to install yet. So you need to watch the previous 2 videos where I'm explaining why. Okay, so let's get on with today's session. And Sanisha's hand is raised. Any questions, Sanisha? Okay, if no questions, Sanisha, can you lower your hand? See, now, don't worry if you cannot create instance, don't worry if you cannot log in. Those are minor things. We will be doing this many number of times as we proceed. Sarvesh, I have installed and configured CLI in Windows and Red Hat OS. Okay, great. Okay, so we will come to that as well, Sarvesh. So just want to tell you, Sarvesh has installed CLI as well, but you need to be careful. You need to ensure that you have set the alarm, billing alarm, so that you are not overcharged or by mistake you have not created extra instances, etc. Just a precaution. So what is expected of you during the last session is create your AWS account, create the billing alarm so that you stay within the free tier limits, and create only free tier instance. Okay, but as we proceed, you may have to pay use some paid instances as well for your experiments. Okay, so let's start with today's session. I am Sri Prakash Neelakandan. I have 3 AWS certifications, including the DevOps Engineer Professional. So I want all of you to get Amazon certified, but this is not the course for it. I want to clarify that. You know, a lot of people by heart the course syllabus, certification syllabus, and pass the certification and get into a company, but they will not be able to do anything practically. So this course is focusing on the practicalities of using Amazon services, which is very difficult to learn or do on your own. But the exam, you need to look at the syllabus, which we will see as we proceed. There is a session covering certification requirements, and you can learn the syllabus actually on your own and get yourself certified. And when you get employed, you will be confident of supporting the organization or confident of fulfilling your job description. Clear? Because to pass the exam, you need to know the number, the reliability level of an S3 account or EC2 service level agreement. Those numbers you need to remember. But in order to perform in a job, you need to know how to do things. Yes, Sai, how can we get hands-on? Yes, this course I've structured so that it is all practical. But initially, we need to learn a few theory as well. Okay, let's proceed. This is the support. All your queries you must address to tax support at Collabra. And now coming to setting up security. When you create an instance and if you leave it on, hackers will detect it. So you have to ensure that limit the SSH access. So here close SSH port if you do not need it, or open SSH port only to your specific IP address. Okay. Sanisha, your hand is still raised. If you can hear me, please lower it. Otherwise, type in your questions. Okay, so now, so these are the two ways you need to ensure that your SSH access is secured. Yes, Subroji, we use 000 in our earlier example, so that can cause issue. Yes, I told you, because I don't want to confuse with specific IP addresses early on in the course. So just create access and terminate your instance. 000 means anyone can SSH into it, but they should also have your private keys. So in that way, you don't have to worry much. Now use only key-based authentication. By default, that is how it is. This is default. This is the default. Now open only essential port addresses. Now, other than SSH, you may be running Apache web server or Nginx web server. You may be running MySQL server. So open only those port addresses. Don't simply open any arbitrary port addresses. Okay. Now all these are, I'm talking of inbound accesses. Inbound. Okay. Let's proceed with this much in mind. Now coming to another interesting topic called AMI, that is Amazon Machine Image. This is really handy. Can anyone guess what it is? Okay, Subrurji is asking, do we need to download Ubuntu software to get my connection, or should I wait? No, you don't need to download Ubuntu. You need to have your Windows, if you are using Windows desktop, and install SSH client software, which is PuTTY or Git Bash. I recommend Git Bash, which will give you a command like a terminal window to use. Yes, Sai is saying machine images, backup and restore. Yes, it can be used to backup and restore. Sandeep is saying ready images already created at AWS end. Yes, but it has little more. Okay. Subroji is saying is using Git Bash, so you can type the command that you have typed to access your remote Ubuntu. And Sai is saying backup. Anand is saying AMI is pre-installed template to launch instances. Yes, but it is little more. Servicing pre-configured image snapshot. Yes, it is. This is the closer to the correct answer. Anand is saying we can even customize our own image. Yes, this is a better answer. So it is customized images. Kamlesh is saying launch the same instance multiple times. Yes, this is also a good answer. Okay, now let's see what what it is. If you have configured an instance, for instance, you have launched a Ubuntu instance, and you have created some files in that instance, some important folders, critical files. You have installed some software on that instance. So basically you have customized that instance for your purpose. Now if you want to create another instance identical to that, what is the normal way? We again create a fresh instance using a standard AMI, and then again repeat all the commands that you have executed in that previous instance, correct? But this may not guarantee that the instances are identical. Yes, Sai is saying cloning. Yes, good. Instances can be used to, the AMI can be used to clone an instance. So what you do is, we create an image out of the instance. Okay. Okay, Subroji has typed the thing key Ubuntu XSS welcome to Ubuntu. Okay, so, let me just answer Subroji's question. Yes, so Subroji, what is the issue? Subrod, Jyoti, what is the issue? I see that you are logged into your Ubuntu using Git bash. This is the correct screen. Yeah, but I did not tell you to type AWS EC2 describe instances. AWS command line tool we will be installing only later. Okay, so let's proceed. So let's now create an instance and do some customization. So that is the practical for today. We are going to create an instance. Okay, and one thing you need to remember is AMI is region specific. So if you create an AMI in one region, it will not be accessible to another region. You have to ensure that you copy the AMI to another region. And if you want to share a thing, you can share your AMI to the public. And each AMI you create will be associated with a snapshot. So you also have to remember that AMI will also create a snapshot and you will be charged for the snapshot storage space. Okay, so if the AMI was large, you make it available in multiple regions, the cost could add up. Okay, so see, logically, if you think anything that uses space in Amazon, you have to pay for it. Meka, I think your mic got unmuted. Can you mute your microphone? Okay. Yes, Subroji is asking, please explain AMI a little. Subroji, when I demonstrate it, it will become clearer. So AMI is something like an ISO of a CD of Ubuntu, but it is much more because AMI can be readily used to launch an instance. Okay. Yes, Ashutosh, in free tier account, you can create snapshot for testing. But that snapshot, if you leave it on for days, they will be cost. Okay, those costs are very small. So you should be able to bear small cost as we proceed. Subroji is saying, not clear, we'll wait for later. So, Subroji, have you seen Ubuntu ISO image when you install Ubuntu? AMI something like that. Or when you create a virtual machine, have you seen the folder that it creates? It is something similar. So when you see it, things could become clear. So what you need to do is, in order to create an AMI, first thing is you need to have an instance. So you launch an instance. Okay, so let me come to my Amazon account and launch an instance. I come to EC2. I'll keep the screen here. So I'm again repeating what I did last time. So I have 0 running instance. I am switching to Mumbai region. So you need to know the region that you are in. So what I plan to do is I will launch an instance, log into the instance, and create a file in the instance, and terminate and create an AMI out of the instance, terminate the instance, and launch another fresh instance. I'll choose only free tier, and I'll choose Ubuntu, and I'll choose this review and launch. Okay, instance details. Port, select an existing security group. I will use the demo one where all the ports are open, and I'm launching. I'll choose the key pair which I have already downloaded, and I have launched the instance. Now when I look at the instances, I will see that the instance is coming up. This is the private IP, and public IP has come, using which I can access, and I have the key here. So SSH minus I use the key. Ubuntu is the username of Ubuntu instance. Yeah, Subroji is saying for me terminated instances are also reflecting. Subroji, it will reflect for some time. After some time it will go, but the billing will stop immediately. Okay, so I'm trying to log in. I'm inside the Ubuntu instance. Okay, so instance is running. That is why it allowed me to get into it. Now what I will do is, I am in this Ubuntu directory. I'll create a new directory Sri. I'll get into that folder and create a file, testing AMI, into say abc.txt. So what I did is I created a fresh instance, and I created a folder and created a file in it. Okay, so now what I will do is I will right click and choose create image. So that is what I am showing you in this slide. I have logged in and created a file. So what I am doing here here is also available as PDF to you, and I am going to use create image from the menu and enter the name and description. So let's do that. I will choose create image. Sanisha's hand is still raised. Okay, so now here what is very important is you have to give a meaningful name. Otherwise later on you will not know what this image is doing. Test AMI with a file abc.txt in abc.txt, and here one important checkbox is there. This is very, very important to know. Supposing you have a production instance which is used by hundreds of users, if you must check this box on. Otherwise, what Amazon AWS will do is it will reboot your instance, or rather it will shut down your instance and then create a snapshot and create an AMI from it. But if you choose no reboot, it will not shut down. So here I am choosing reboot. So you can see I am logged in. When I create the and also how much disk space you want. By default it will use the disk space that was used by the running instance, which was 8 GB. So if you need more space, you need to add it in here. Anyone can guess this will yeah, Subroji is saying till 30 GB is free, but okay, the 8 GB is good enough for our experiments. Okay, anyone can guess at this stage what an additional feature this AMI creation is offering us? Any guess? Text file, yes, of course, customization will be saved. Hibernate feature, you have created another instance, add a new volume. Sai, can you elaborate on that? Sai says add a new volume. It's not a new volume. It is same volume. Sarvesh, it is the same volume, which is a root volume, having a copy. See, now this is the command that shows the volume space. It's a root volume is 8 GB, and out of that 6.8 GB is free. Do you see this? Now you have copied files and installed software, etc. And this, supposing you only have 0.8 GB free, creating an AMI allows you to extend the root volume. Madhuri is saying by default it will take a root volume. Yes, that is correct. Yes, Ashutosh saying it will increase the root volume size. A clap for this answer. You know, whenever I give a clap, don't feel bad that you don't get the clap. I am only giving clap to the answers, not to the individual. Okay. So because it is useful, so creating an AMI helps you to easily expand the root volume size. Remember that. So here I am not expanding the root volume size, but if I want, I can change it to 10 GB, and when I create a new volume, you will see 10 GB. So I am creating, and also the check mark here is there. This tells you that anytime I delete the instance, this volume also will get deleted. Yes, so you don't really have to worry about not enough space. It will extend the root size. Correct. Okay, so I'm creating the image. When I create image, since this is not checked, you will see that I am logged out during the creation. Image creation request, see, it connection terminated because it is stopping the instance. With this, your total size is 8 GB plus 8 GB accumulation. No, we are only talking of one space, root volume. It did not create a new volume. So, but it gave you an option to change the root volume size. Clear? Both instances together. But after this image creation is over, I'll be terminating this instance. So see, new AMI creation is on. Name is test with a file. Description is abc.txt. So let this creation, and remember, if your volume is 100 GB or something like that, this creation can take half an hour to 1 hour. Subroji is saying, so AMI's purpose is to increase the size of the volume. That is one of the use, but there are other uses. Supposing you have a production, so while this is being created, so AMI is ready. See, AMI, while this is being created, let's watch, let's answer. One of the use of AMI creation is to increase the root volume size, but the more popular uses create ready to deploy production servers. For instance, you have a working online server instance, and it has been running for weeks, but you need to ensure that you have a backup which can be deployed instantly if something goes wrong. So you take snapshot every week or every day at certain times so that you have good AMIs ready for launch. That is one use. Other uses, you normally will not launch instances manually. As an AWS engineer, you will be scripting your instance creation. So in your script, you will need to specify the AMI ID. So you will want to use AMIs to have the latest AMI ID. So you create AMIs for to be used by your scripts. Okay, so AMI is ready. Now what I can do is I can terminate the instance or I can keep the instance. But I will launch another instance. I can launch from here or from AMI I can launch. Okay, no, AMI creation is not over. It is still pending. So let's, while Subruji, can we tell AMI creation is for keeping another copy of instance handy? Yes, that is the more common use of AMI creation. But there is another important use as well. I told you AMI is region specific. Yeah, Shivang is saying AMI is like a snapshot. Yes. Okay, so now another use of AMI is, supposing you have created an AMI in India, Mumbai, Indian region, but you want to use that AMI in US region or Singapore region. You will need to first copy this AMI to Singapore or US region and then use it. So if you want to clone your instance, listen carefully. If you want to clone a production server from one region to another region, you will use AMI. This can be a certification question. Okay. Subrodh is saying it's a kind of snapshot image of an instance. Yes, region wise, correct. Sandeep is saying, do we lose the data once we stop it? Once we stop the instance? Yes. Yes. Okay, so let's see. Okay, AMI is ready. So what I'll do is I'll come to AMI, and here there is a launch option. And now Sai is asking a question, without instance present in the region, can we run the corresponding AMI? Yes, if we have copied this AMI to another region. Now how will we copy? Do you see a menu here? Copy AMI. So supposing Singapore, I want to launch this AMI, I choose this menu. Okay, and destination region I can choose here and choose the destination region. Ashutosh, what is your question? So we create an AMI for running instance and copy that AMI to another region. Create instance from that copied AMI to have the instance copied to another region. Exactly. Yes. Okay, so but copying an AMI is not a part of the course. So this you keep in mind. We will launch an instance from an AMI. But default, it will choose the similar settings. Okay, and storage, it will choose the same settings. So it will use the security. No, security group, see, you have to choose. Otherwise, you will not be able to enter. What is the name, convention, standards for image? Name followed? No, there is no convention. You can use your organization's convention. Okay, but still, you preferably give it a name which is meaningful to you. Now, you see that this new instance created from our custom AMI is being launched. No, do we need the same security group name in different region while copying? No. Okay. So now instance ID, AMI ID. See here the AMI ID tells you which AMI was used to create this instance. But if you look at this instance, you see that AMI ID is our custom AMI. Do you see this? See, this is the instance that we launched initially from the Amazon's default AMI, and you see the AMI that we have used. But if you look at our new instance, you will see that AMI ID is the ID that we have specified. Now the instance is ready, and this is the public IP of the instance. Let's log in and see if our file is there. We are in. See, that file has come. So this is a demonstration of how to create an instance, customize the instance by installing additional softwares that you need and creating files that you need, and then create an AMI, that is Amazon machine image, out of it, and then launch an instance using the AMI. Sandeep, your hand is raised. Any questions? Okay. So this is clear. So now I will terminate both the instances. So this, yes, Subroji is asking, so keeping this AMI will cost. So why should this AMI cost us? Because though this AMI has no cost, AMI uses a snapshot. Okay, so AMI uses a snapshot, and if you look at the snapshots, you will see that, let it load. See, we have one snapshot. Do you see this? And it says created by, see, completed, created by create image. So snapshot can be created without creating AMI, but this snapshot tells you that this snapshot is created during AMI creation. Now we cannot delete this snapshot. Only when we delete the AMI, the snapshot will go. So you have to pay for this snapshot. But from the instance also, you can create a snapshot. No, sorry. From volumes, you can create snapshot. Like when we look at volumes, which we are going to see in the next session. Yeah, what is the use of a snapshot? See, in order to create an image, you need to first copy the entire running server as a file. So snapshot is something like the img file of the entire running instance. Now on top of that, AMI system will add certain parameters to define the thing and convert it into an AMI. Ijagani is asking, what is the use of creating AMI, creating the snapshot automatically? No, see, we are not creating it automatically. When we create a new AMI out of a running instance, it is designed to first create a snapshot and attach it to the AMI's name. Okay, so you will have to ensure that the snapshot is retained, and the snapshot will go only when we delete the AMI. How do we delete the AMI? Do you see there is no delete option? Biswaj is saying, so do we pay for both running instance and AMI? In general, you don't pay for pay to Amazon, or Amazon will not bill you for configurations. So AMI is just a configuration layer sitting on top of a snapshot. So AMI as such has no cost, but the snapshot space has cost. Is that okay? If we create, now Subroji is asking, is if we create AMI to get a snap copy of the instance, why not only snapshot without AMI to avoid extra cost? Let me read the question again. So if we create a AMI to get a snap copy of the instance, why not only create a snapshot without AMI to avoid the cost? No, to answer that question has one interesting question also hidden in it. Subrod Jyoti, you know what? You can, even if you create a snapshot of a running instance volume, you will have to pay for that snapshot. Because anything, like you know, in the market, if you want to buy a hard disk, you have to pay for the space. Anything that you need to that uses space, you have to pay. But AMI has additional information kept on top of the snapshot. What are those additional information? The key that is used, the name and description that you have specified. All these are additional information that is attached to the snapshot, and then Amazon calls it AMI. Is that okay for now? Kamlesh, what is your question? Can I store AMI snapshot into my local disk? Yes, you can copy AMI into your local disk as well, but it is of no use because it uses its own proprietary format. So Amazon, storing it in Amazon S3 is the most reliable way of securing your AMI. When we come to that, Kamlesh is saying that way we can avoid AWS storage costs. Actually, AWS storage cost is way lower than your own hard disk investment and the security. So S3 storage, and we will study cheaper storage options, which are way cheaper than your own hard disk and the investment that you need to have your hard disk attached and accessible. Okay, so Anand is saying, can snapshot be restored to get the instance state to date when snapshot was created? This is the main difference. Yes, so this is an interesting question by Anand. Anand is asking, can snapshot be restored to get the instance state to date when snapshot was created? Is this a main difference between snapshot and... So this question will require a clap. This is one of the reasons, one of the difference between snapshot and AMI. AMI allows you to mount the root volume from a snapshot, whereas if you create a snapshot, with this you may not understand now, but if you create a snapshot, you have to create another instance and create a volume using the snapshot and mount the snapshot as an extra hard disk in the instance and access it. So this answer, you keep it in mind. As we progress, we may this will become clearer to you. Let me explain. Supposing your friend has a hard disk of Ubuntu where he has critical information, but he can't boot his Ubuntu system, and you have an Ubuntu drive, Ubuntu system. What you will do, you will plug in that hard disk into your USB socket and then mount that drive as a volume on your Ubuntu and access, correct? This snapshot is something like that. But AMI allows you to create bootable snapshots. Okay. Now Anand is saying, can snapshot be restored to get the instances? Yeah, so that I have answered. So okay, let's proceed. And now what? See, I see that. How do I delete an instance? There is no delete option. There is only a deregister option. So I will choose the deregister option. Are you sure you want to deregister these images? I will say deregister. So now the AMI is gone, but when we look at the snapshot, you will see that snapshot soon will get deleted. So deregistration will take some time. So we'll wait. Meanwhile, we'll go to our instances and terminate both of them. Let's see if we need the instance. So creating a new image, I have explained. So I will terminate both these instances. When you terminate, just ensure that instances are correct and the region is correct. Otherwise, you could accidentally terminate a live important instance and there is no way you can undo. You have to have a snapshot or AMI or other backup mechanisms. So I will terminate and come back to our slides. Okay, now Subroji has a question. Say a snapshot is taken during AMI while some activities are going on. How that will be captured? We will miss any transaction. A clap for this question. Absolutely yes. So as professionals, you have to know the software that is running on your instance and you have to shut down the instance and stop any file changes and then only create an AMI. Otherwise, you have to choose the reboot option and Amazon will reboot, which could disrupt any running process, running job. So this is where an AWS engineer will intervene. So you have to intelligently take your AMI or even snapshot or even your regular backups. Anand, can snapshot be restored? Okay, Subrojji now. So Subrojyoti's question is, so before taking AMI, we need to stop the instance. That answer is yes and no. Certain cases you will not be able to stop the instance. So you have to intelligently sequence your AMI creation and also intelligently restore after you create a new instance from the AMI. You have to intelligently ensure that it is brought to the correct checkpoint by adding the new transactions. You got it? So Subrojyoti is asking, how can you restrict transaction? You cannot restrict transactions. So, but you have to know, see, transactions, journals you could be writing to another database. So you know when the AMI was created, and you know that when the last valid transaction. I'm just giving an example. So the remaining unupdated transaction you will need to update. But this is a crude answer. Case to case, you need to work with your developers. What is the best way to stop the instance or um, restore the newly created AMI's instance to the correct state? So Badrinath has a question. If this is a critical server, when we are creating AMI, we need to downtime for the server. Absolutely yes. So if it's a critical AMI, you need to stop the instance so that no new transactions are done. But again, stopping a server also is not a simple thing when live transactions are going on. You have to gracefully stop the jobs that are running. Then you have to shut down. But there are other ways. Like, see, supposing I have a production server which I maintain, which cannot go down, I still can create AMI, but I will know that the files which are inconsistent or files which can be corrupted, so I will ensure that those files will be restored from my journals or backups. Now Badrinath has another question. But we are taking OS backup. Why we need downtime? Yeah, see now, Badrinath, when you take OS backup, that OS is also running MySQL server. OS is also running Apache web server, which or Nginx web server, which has a PHP engine behind, or a Java environment running, and that will be updating files and uploading files. It could be uploading a 1 GB file, image file into your folder. At that time, you could be creating an AMI. That file will be half. So there are various reasons why you cannot shut down a server. Badrinath, but we are taking why we need downtime. So I created an AMI on a pre-production server, then run them on production. So that is a question or a statement. Yeah, okay. Yes, correct. You can create an AMI on pre-production server and run them on production. Yes, that can also be done. So Gaurav Arora is saying, any role does no reboot play in this? Yes, no reboot, if it is checked, it will create the AMI from the live running instance. So your log files could be written. There are your other critical files could be corrupted. So you should be ready to face those consequences technically. Okay. Let's now proceed with this slide. Now creating a new AMI we have seen. Now Amazon provides our instance with private IP address, okay, which are not accessible outside. and it will also give you internal domain name, which cannot also be accessed from outside. That explanation is given in here. And then public IP. So if you want to access the instance from your internet, then only you need public IP. So then it will assign public IP, using which you can SSH into it. You cannot SSH into your instance using private IP. But if you are already logged into an instance which has public IP, from within that instance you can access other instances using its private IP if they are in the similar accessible VPC. That we will see later. So private IP is useful. It will allow SSHing into it from other instance which has public IP. Anand, can private IP address and private DNS hostname can be accessed within? Yes, that is what I explained. Correct, Anand. Now, deploying a new instance from AMI, I have covered. Now, elastic IP. Now, there is another important thing called elastic IP. Like, you know, here this instance, the second instance that I created had this IP 13.126.79.194, correct? If I stop and restart the instance, this public IP will change. That is, Amazon will cleverly ensure that you will get a different IP every time you restart your instance. So what can we do? Every time you have to know the IP address to SSH into your same instance, right? So instead you can buy elastic IP from Amazon. You need to buy it, and you will be charged every month for this IP address, and that IP can be assigned to your instance. So you will see an elastic IP thing, and you have to allocate a new IP, and that IP can be attached to your instance. Then anytime you start and stop your instance, that IP address will stay attached. We will see this also as we proceed. See, the problem is AWS courses. Initially we have to do things practically, but certain things you may not have studied. So those areas you just assume. As we study those areas, things will become clearer, because AWS is too vast and so many services are there for us to learn. Now coming to another topic which we will practice later, but we need to understand what it is. Like AMI, I told you it is just a definition. It uses a snapshot. You have to pay for the snapshot. But elastic load balancer is not a definition, you have to pay for it. Always remember, and this is an exam question. So elastic load balancer, there are now three different load balancer, but we will be using classic load balancer. So elastic load balancer automatically distributes incoming request traffic across multiple Amazon instances and results in achieving higher fault tolerance. So you are learning a new term called fault tolerance. Let me explain. Now your users are here. They use the internet, they connect to the internet and browse the website. Normal website is port 80, and HTTPS secured website uses port 443. Now these two port requests will reach the elastic load balancer's domain name or IP address. We will see how it reaches later. And then elastic load balancer, what will it do is, first request, supposing I am browsing, the request will go to this EC2 server. Again, so if my wife is browsing, it could go to this server. So supposing there are 1,000 users browsing this website at the same time, request will be equally distributed between the servers. Now this distribution can also have additional intelligence so that it can be distributed more cleverly. We will see them later. Okay, so that is just a cursory understanding of elastic load balancer, but we will create elastic load balancer and attach instances, etc. But for that we will need to study some more topics. So elastic load balancer consists of a load balancing logic, a control service, and then SSL termination. So that SSL termination is when you have SSL, that is secured socket layer certificate for secured website, you can install them on the elastic load balancer. Supposing you have an e-commerce website, normally the users will only be browsing port 80 and port 443. So elastic load balancer will open port 80 and port 443 for your users to access, but your instances can be listening to port 80 or port 4443, completely different ports. So even a hacker will not directly be able to penetrate easily into these instances, because they may not know this port address. This can be even something else, 8181 or 81111, anything, any random address. And this elastic load balancer is provided by Amazon, so it will have all the security features built into it. Clear? So this is elastic load balancer. Any question, any top level question on elastic load balancer? This will also have now Subroji is asking how the request will understand which instance to reach through ELB. Now this question we might come across as we progress, but this is a complex question. You can, supposing you have a shopping cart and user has added one item in your shopping cart, and the shopping cart session for this user is stored in this instance. Next time when the user refreshes the site or goes to another product, if it goes to this instance, your cart could become empty. That is not what you want. So you can provide some kind of a stickiness so that it stays, one user will always get that instance for a certain time. So Anand is saying, does the domain name of elastic load balancer backend application on EC2 can be same or should be same? Yeah, this domain name aspect of ELB also we will study in detail as we study the Route 53 domain name service system. So Subroji's question is how the request will understand which. So now I won't answer that now, because that will involve showing you the screens of ELB creation. So just keep that question with you, Subroj, Jyoti. There are normally, it's called round robin routings, whereas all the instances will get equal load. So for that, for now, you keep that only in mind. Any other question? Ashutosh's elastic load balancer would we need static IP or do we need to buy? So this is an important question, interesting question. Clap for this question. No need. Elastic load balancer will give you a domain name which will not change. but its IP addresses will change. But we don't need to worry about this. Amazon will internally handle, and you don't need elastic IP address. Okay. If you are using elastic load balancer, you don't need to buy elastic IP. That Amazon will manage that. Okay, Sandeep, load balancer decides where to divert the request as per load. Yes, load balancer will decide, but that answer is not fully correct. There can be some more decision factors before here. At the domain name level, you can route the request to another location. But if the request is reaching load balancer, it will decide. Okay. Now, load balancer features ELB. Sorry, ELB is designed to handle unlimited requests per second with gradually increasing load balancer. We can configure EC2 instances and load balancers to accept traffic. Okay, and we can add remove load balancer as per requirement without affecting the overall flow of information. Yeah, Mathuri Nallam is asking on what basis the ELB is distributed. This again is Subrodji's question. We will, when we create load balancer, we will see the screen and see what options we have there, and then I will explain that. For now, assume that it evenly distributes request to all the instances. Okay. We can add remove load balancer. It's not designed to handle sudden increase in requests like online exams, online trading. So this is something you need to remember. Customers can enable elastic load balancing within a single availability zone or across multiple zones. This is again exam question, an important thing. So creating load balancer I have listed here, but don't worry about it now. We have to do this on our own, but don't yet do it. I will demonstrate when we are ready for it. So this is what it is. We will take a break, 15 minutes break. So we'll meet at 9:28. Okay. So be on time, and we'll continue with other interesting topic. So like load balancer, we handle only theory, because we have to know the theory before we do other topics. So certain topics theory will come, certain topic theory and practicals will come together. So just please bear with me for initial sessions, but I know that things are becoming clear to you. Thank you all for your questions and participation. See you at 9:29. Okay, bye bye. Okay, welcome back. There are some questions. Subroji, Sandeep's question of load balancer decides where to divert. That I have answered. For now, assume that load balancer will distribute the traffic evenly across attached instances. For instance, if there are 1,000 requests and 5 instances are attached to load balancer, imagine that 200 requests will go to each of the server for now. But it is way more complicated than that. Then Suprotji, so taking AMI snapshot of an instance does not ensure all the information related to a user transactions are covered. No, Suprotji, that is not technically possible. You have a running server, physical server. How can you take a snapshot of that server? It is not technically possible to take a snapshot of any server if it is running, because continuously there are so many things changing. Yeah, you need to stop. You need to stop. Even for a snapshot of a volume, you need to stop the server, or at least detach the volume or unmount the drive. Like in even a USB drive, if you plug into your laptop, first you have to eject before you unplug the USB drive, right? Otherwise, it can get corrupted. Okay. So, Subroji, Madhuri, on what basis the ELB distributes instances? Yeah, so that I will, this question we will answer as when we see the screen. Kamlesh, can you please elaborate last point in the previous slide? Which is the last point? You mean this screen, Kamlesh? Previous this one, this one. Yeah. Okay. So this is supposing you have one server, one hosting server, and you have Apache or Nginx or IIS web server installed, and it is an e-commerce site where you need to ask for credit card information, and so you need to have a secured sections of the website. Secured means HTTPS URL, which means it uses SSL protocol. For this, you need to buy a thing called certificate from the certificate provider and install this certificate on your web server. Then you will know, then the browser will know that your site is securely signed by the correct domain name, matching domain name. Okay, so in case of ELB, since the instance or the server is behind the ELB, you need to install this SSL onto the ELB. That is what here it means, SSL termination. So that means users secure transaction can terminate at the elastic load balancer itself, and load balancer in turn can communicate in a non-SSL fashion back to your real web server. Okay, so this X509 certificate is the certificate that you can buy from the certificate provider. Now, Sandeep, do we lose data after stopping server? But do we lose data after stopping server? Yes, if you stop and start a server, data on your volume will not get deleted, but there are information which are kept in the ephemeral storage, which we will see later. That will get lost, but otherwise you can safely start and stop. Now, Sandeep's another question: how the snapshot will be identical? What exactly do you mean by this question? Can you elaborate this question? Then how it created? It related to earlier one. Do we lose data after stopping server? Yes. Every time you stop your server, your data will be different. So, and snapshot will be different. Suppose today I stop the server and take a snapshot, it will be different from my snapshot of yesterday. Today, when I stop the server, I can have some partly completed transactions of files, but some completed transaction, but yesterday's file will be different. So starting and stopping will involve a deeper understanding of your server area. I will touch upon as we proceed. Okay. Then Kamlesh, normally load balancer will only be one, right? Here it says, yeah, multiple load balancer we will see. I will explain to you that later, but for now just know that even load balancer can be multiple. Subroji, in a live production server, if I need to take an AMI snapshot, we cannot stop the server, correct? So that is why Amazon gives you an option to create AMI without rebooting. Okay, and this is where, as AWS engineers, you will know what you have to sit with the developer and see what database or what files are being constantly written and where the sessions are stored, etc. So such information, so when I configure my server, I will ensure that such transient information or constantly changing information, I will put it somewhere else. Subroji has an Subro Jyoti has another instance. What is the relationship between database and instance? No relationship. The question Subroji is asking is, does the DB lies inside the instance? Need not be. So Amazon provides another database service called RDS, which is very, very reliable. So your database ideally should be stored in RDS. So when we use load balancer or when we create AMIs, technically you will create, you will not have anything written onto the instance. That is one way to ensure that without rebooting the server, you can create AMIs. Okay. So shall we leave AMI and ELB at this and move on to next slide? And if you have any questions, you can ask anytime later. Can I get a confirmation? Okay, great. Thanks, Badrinath. And now we are going to look at another important section. Thanks, Madhuri and Sai. So now this is about elastic block storage or EBS or volumes. This is me, Sri Prakash Nilakantan. This is the support contact information. And Amazon Elastic Block Storage is a block storage system used to store persistent data. This is a word that you must always remember and understand. Persistent means even if you start and stop, data will stay. Amazon EBS is suitable for EC2 instances by providing highly available block level storage volumes. It has three types of volumes. One is general purpose SSD. SSD is for solid state drive. Nowadays, this is the commonly used drive. Another is provisioned IOP SSD. The last is our old type of hard disk, which is magnetic hard disk. These three volume types differ in performance characteristics and cost. cheapest, as per your experience, which should be the cheapest? Subrodji is saying one. No, actually, this is the cheapest. Next option is this, but this will be very slow. So we use this as the default option. And Kamlesh is saying, what is IOPS? IOPS is input output operations. This volume is general purpose SSD. We are talking of general purpose SSD. Okay. This volume type is suitable for small and medium workloads like a root disk of EC2 volumes, small and medium database workloads, frequently logs accessing workloads. By default, SSD supports 3 IOPS. This is an exam question, input output operation per second. And GB means 1 GB volume, and 1 GB volume gives 3 IOPS, and 10 GB volume gives 30 IOPS. Okay. Its storage capacity of one volume ranges from 1 GB to 1 terabyte. Cost of one volume is 0.1, that is 10 cents per GB for 1 month. Okay. That is all we need to know at this time. But this number is, but default 3 input output operations is possible per GB per second. Then provisioned IOP. This is an expensive option. This volume type is suitable for demanding input output intensive transactional workloads, a large database, elastic map reduce Hadoop workloads. By default, IOPS SSD support 30. So instead of 3, it supports 30 input output operations per GB. Means 10 GB volume will give 300 input output operations per second. The storage capacity of one volume ranges from 10 GB to 1 terabyte. These numbers are required for your exam. The cost of one volume is 0.25 per GB for 1 month for provisioned storage and provisioned IOPS for 1 month. Okay. Next is cheapest one, magnetic storage. It was formerly known as standard volume, but now the standard volume is SSD. This volume type is suitable for ideal workloads like frequently accessed data, that is data backups. So it is useful for backups. Recovery logs, storage capacity is 10 GB to 1 terabyte, and cost of volume is 0.05. So it is half the cost of GB. IOPS means input output operations per second. Okay. Magnetic volume is that. Next is some points to note. Number of volumes attached to an instance. Each account will be limited to 20 EBS volumes. For a requirement of more than 20 volumes, you need to contact Amazon, and we can attach up to 20 volumes on a single instance, and each volume ranges from 1 GB to 1 terabyte. And EC2 instances, we store data in local storage, which is available till the instance is running. However, when we shut down the instance, data gets lost. Thus, when we need to save anything, it is advised to save it on Amazon EBS. So we will not use local storage. Subroji, is there any discussion going on for cost based per second instead of per hour? as far as I can understand, Amazon's minimum costing slot is 1 hour. Okay, so anything you change or anything, that change you have to pay for 1 hour, as we can access read EBS volume anytime. So we will be using Amazon EBS since we need to access the data after we shut down. So EBS benefits, reliable storage. Each of the EBS volume will be automatically respond to its availability zone to protect from component failure. Secure, Amazon's flexible access control policies allows to specify who can access which EBS volume. And higher performance, Amazon EBS uses SSD technology and easy data backup. Data backup can be saved by taking point-in-time snapshot of Amazon EBS volume. Okay, so let's look at the creation process and create a volume and attach. So that is slightly complicated. Subrod ji is asking, Windows 2018 on Linux is in market now. So can we add any value to AWS? I am not sure, Subrod ji, at this time, because from my last several years, 7-8 years of experience, 90% of the AWS users or even more are all Linux based, scaling, auto scaling, running Docker, and everything is Linux based. You have to, if you want to be employable in the Amazon space, which is the #1 cloud provider, you have to know Linux technologies. Okay. So creating EBS volume, let's come to, let's go through the screen. First you come to volumes and create volume and attach the volume to an instance. This is attaching, and then after attaching you will not be able to access. Santosh Singh, as per magnetic storage price per month, billing for Amazon should be 339, which is equivalent to external storage hard disk. Could be. But that hard disk, see, that is the price of the hard disk, correct, Santosh? Now, in order to make that hard disk accessible to you, you have to plug it into a computer. That computer will need power. Computer will need network access layer and technology around it. It will need some administrative team to allow access to the drive. So there are some additional cost on top of the hard disk that you buy for it to be able to access. So those are the price that we need to pay. Then Amazon will also ensure that this hard disk, if you drop, you lose all the data, whereas this drive that Amazon provides, Amazon is responsible to ensure that the backup is ensured. So those areas you can see how the security and reliability of Amazon drives are provided. Okay, so this is how you attach, and this is how you format and use the drive. So let's do it along with the slide. So I don't have any instance. Okay, all the instances have gone. So first I will launch an instance. Again, I will choose free Ubuntu. Configure instance details. One instance I will launch. Storage 8 GB. Add tags, configure security group. I will use existing security group so that I can SSH into it, and I launch it and choose the same key pair. View instances. I'll wait for the public IP to arrive. Public IP hasn't come. Once the public IP comes, I will put it in my SSH and access the drive. And I will show you the currently available hard disk space. Okay, so public IP has come. Let's see if SSH is ready to allow access. Okay, it looks like I'm inside, and I will also come to root mode. Since I am working with the drive, this is better. And sorry. Okay, so now here you see that my root volume has is a 8 GB drive. These are rest is all temporary, which you are not supposed to be accessing. So this is the only drive. Do you see this? Now, one option if I want more space here is, supposing I need additional 8 GB. One is I create an, what do I do? Yes, exactly. Thanks. I will create an AMI with a bigger root space. Yes, Vishwa Jyoti. But I don't want to do that. I want to have another volume created, which I will use it for any transactional requirement, which I will mount it onto this drive. This way, my root drive, even if I create an AMI while it is running, it will not affect the attached drive. Okay, so you see that I have only one drive. So now what I have to do is I have to create a new drive. Okay, so what I will do, I'll create a volume 100 GB default, which I don't want. 100 GB, I'll put 8 or say 10 GB. 10 GB general purpose SSD I choose, but Amazon has recently added new features. Snapshot ID. See, one very interesting thing is you can create a volume from a snapshot, which I'm not going to do now. So if you have taken a snapshot, that snapshot has to be converted to a volume before we can mount it. And there is an encrypt option. You can make it encrypted so that if somebody without the decryption option will not be able to mount it. Sarvesh is typed in a question. Let's create. Now here you ensure that correct availability zone is selected. So this should be matching our instance. Otherwise, we will not be able to attach this volume. So our instance, Sarvesh, I will read you a question. Availability zone of this, my instance is AP South 1A. Availability zone of my volume is also AP South 1A. So it can be accessed and my volume is ready. So let me read. If we want to upgrade the file system in XFS and it got stuck, how to recover the OS since Amazon is not providing console access. Yes, so you know these operations you normally will not do. Any such risky operation you will not do. You are going to handle hundreds or thousands of servers. So no manual operations are done. You will be only replacing instances for such upgrades, in a nutshell. So our Yes, Shivang, is increase HDD, is there a cost? Yes. Anything that uses space, you have to pay. So here I'm using, say, how much? 100 GB. So there is a cost. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to attach this volume. Service default file system provider Amazon is ext4. It has certain limits. You can change the formatting. Subrodji, I am more interested in about the DB part as DB2, DBA. Please point DB specific details whenever you feel related. Will do. But this course is on Amazon technologies in general. So we will briefly touch upon RDS. Okay. So attach a volume. See, I have created a volume. Attaching a volume, you have to have an instance running. See, when you click here itself, it will show one instance running. That is the instance that I have created. Shivang, how to see the cost for that? Yes, costing section, billing section, you will see. But immediately you will not see because it will take 1 hour to create the charge. So there is a daily billing, weekly billing, etc. So what is critical is set the billing alarm so that when the cost increases, you will be notified. And there is a separate pricing section which you need to study for your certification, but not for this course. So in free tier account, can you add a second volume? Ashuto's question. It will be charged. But we are talking of 10 cents or 20 cents depending on how many hours you will keep the volume attached. Shall I attach? So it is showing the device. It will be, see, here I have this device, but it is showing something else here, and I'm going to attach. And once it is attached, on your instance, we might see the attached volumes. ABS optimize root device. See here, it is showing another block device here. Which is the block device that we have attached? Let me just confirm. Okay, device volume attached. Yeah, see here. This is the instance ID and this is the mounted location. Now, if you look at here, you don't see the volume. What do we do? Madhuri, is suppose 2 or more instances are running, how can we identify that instance? Yeah, that is using instance ID only. You can, okay, yes, LV fdisk minus L, good replies, LV display. So here fdisk minus L, let's try fdisk minus L. See, fdisk minus L, the last section will be our thing, and this is not SDF. Do you see this? It will be XVDF. Yes, Anand, we need to mount, we need to format. Yes, Shivang. ls service ls/dev xvdf. Okay, check for the mount command. Yes, and LV display. Shubhrot Jyoti has typed one command, LV display. I have not seen that command. Okay, so we will see what that is after we format and mount. Okay, so what we have to do now is you know what, you can also type ls block, list block devices, ls block. See now here xvda. Okay, Ashutosh, LV display is related to LVM. So here it is part, and if you type file minus s, okay, and the volume name, which is xvdf, one second, xvdf. So this is the partition, this is the disk drive, file minus l. Anytime, yeah, we can do that. Service is typed fdisk/dev/xvdf. That is to partition. But here we don't need to partition this actually. Okay, so this anytime if the above command shows data, it means your volume is empty. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to type the format command. You need, when you format, be very careful, format only the volume, newly mounted volume, mkfs minus t ext4 slash dev slash xvdf. xvdf we got it when we did fdisk minus l, which is a 100 GB drive. So I'm going to type this, and it is formatting. It is formatted. Now let's look at still our drive hasn't come. What do we need to do? See now, after formatting, if you do file minus f, you see this. Ashutosh, why didn't we create file system first and then format? This is a question that, you know, Amazon, when we create a volume, it partitions for Linux use. Okay. Yes, Sarvesh is saying mount. Yes, mount. Mount minus t ext is for mount point. Correct. So let's do the mount. After mounting, we will see the drive. So before we mount, we need to have a mount point. So I create mkdir slash mnt slash new drive, and type mount, and we have to give the drive slash xvdf and the path, or make empty service, or make empty entry in fs tab for persistent mount. Exactly. So now I have mounted. Now if I look at the disk drive, I should see my new 100 GB drive. See, now my new 100 GB drive is there. Now you can copy whatever critical data into this drive and detach the drive and mount it somewhere else. Or this is also a way of using volumes as a backup. Supposing this 100 GB drive, I want to use it as a backup, I can use this as a backup. Okay, so now how do we delete it? We have to first unmount. Then essentially we have to do the reverse thing. Correct. Thanks, Sarvesh. Unmount. Unmount is you mount. Okay. Now the drive is gone. Now we come to this and detach the volume. Okay, volume is detached. Now after we detach, if we look at F disk, the volume is still there. No, this is 8 GB. So the 100 GB one has gone. F disk 8 GB. Yeah, so see this XVDF 100 GB drive is not being listed when we detached. Now we have to choose delete volume. I'm deleting it because I don't want to keep this billing me. Okay. And I will also terminate the instance. So always remember to terminate the instance immediately after use. Sarvesh, does this exercise require cost? What do you think, Sarvesh? Making the file system will not involve cost. You should have a little more clearer idea about the costing. Anything that uses space, anything that uses traffic, anything that uses expensive resources like elastic load balancer, Route 53, elastic IP, all these things you have to pay. Okay, so that is how to delete. Yes, if you terminate the instance, the volume will be deleted. Yes and no. If we choose the option delete on termination when we create the instance, then only it will be deleted. By default, it is check marked. But if you don't want the volume to be deleted, you can uncheck that. Okay, Shiva, that answer. And Service, what about in case of adding storage? Yes, if you add storage also, you have to pay. Okay, that is about deletion. So you have to, it is very important that you create a snapshot, create a volume, attach the volume to an instance and mount, and format and mount. Service, how much for 1 hour? I have explained that. You can just go back to previous slides. That depends on what type of drive you choose. If it is magnetic, it will cost 0.05, that is 5 cents. 5 cents will be how much per hour? 5 cents per GB. 5 cents will be $1 is 70 rupees. So $0.1 will be 7 rupees. 0.01, 0.05 will be half of that, 3 rupee 50 paisa, roughly. But these calculations, just familiarize yourself because these are not, costing is not a part of the course. So we will aim to keep the costs low. Yes, Subroji, it is tough to understand where we will be charged and when for what exactly, because see, it's difficult for Amazon also to know what you are doing with their resources, isn't it? So costing is a complex process, and there are specialized people who will assess the investment required for Amazon, etc. But as technical people, you don't have to worry much, but you have to set alarm so that suppose company has $1,000 or $50,000 budget, you have to ensure that you set the correct alarms on a daily basis, so that anytime something goes wrong and the alarm comes, you have to investigate what is causing those costs. But I don't want to share my costing screen with you, because then all my resources will get exposed. Anand is saying how to sell billing alarm, but that I have shown you in your screen. But as we progress, you will see. Okay, anyone could create a billing alarm? Yes, Subroji. So Anand, what option? Did you check the slide where I have mentioned how to create the billing alarm? It is very, very critical. I did go through budget, and yes, so you need to explain where you get stuck. So you have to go to billing section and enable. Okay, so I have given it in that slide. So what you do is separately you email me what you have done and where you are encountering the problem. Sai, all this process can be done only in command window, or can this be done using GUI? This was explained in the earlier video session. We will be studying the GUI part till we reach the command line, and after that I will, but wherever it's applicable, I will show you the command line also, but don't do it yet. But after we study command line, you will want to do things in the command line, because as a production engineer, the Amazon engineer, everything you will do will be in command line. Subro Jyoti is saying same thing is done using budget. I am not encountering problem for alert mechanism, but will use CloudWatch. Using CloudWatch won't charge, but CloudWatch has got chargeable areas where if I want to see GUI of my instance, so can I see? So you, Shivang is asking, if I want to see GUI of my instance, can I see? By this GUI means your instance desktop. Shivang, do you mean by that? No, you see, if it is a Windows instance, like I mentioned in the earlier thing, you have to use remote desktop client to connect your instance and see. Otherwise, in the browser, you cannot see. And if it is a Linux instance, there is no GUI. You have to use SSH into it. Okay? Yes, our desktop and IP. Okay, so next, let's spend some time with the next slide, which is, let me see what is the next topic that we need to cover. Is it SNS? Is it SNS or CloudWatch? Okay, let's come to CloudWatch, and then we will look at SNS. Both are linked actually. So Sandeep is saying billing dashboard preferences, receive billing alerts. Here billing alerts can be set. Thanks, Sandeep. Yes, exactly. So this is CloudWatch, Amazon CloudWatch. This is me, Sri Prakash Neelakantan, and this is the support contact details. What is CloudWatch? Just listen, focus here. Amazon CloudWatch provides reliable, scalable, and flexible monitoring solution. It is a monitoring tool. that you can start using within minutes. You no longer need to set up, manage, and scale up your own monitoring systems and infrastructure. Like if you have studied complicated monitoring tools like Nagios, etc., you need to dedicate servers and generator and come back. 2 minutes. Can you hear? My showing as it's receiving. Can you, screen is also stuck. Okay. 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 Good. Just a second. Hello. Not able to hear. Can you see my screen and hear me now? In between? Just quickly, if you have questions, I'll start with cloud. Okay, thank you and bye bye.